bring in Ina Sovsun, who joins us live from Kiev. She's a member of the Ukrainian Parliament. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program. Now, no result from the ceasefire talks yesterday, and more talks are set to be held. But there's little hope as Russia continues to advance into Ukraine, and Zelensky continues to send out messages that they will not back down by, for example, signing that application to become an EU member.
As I was telling before, the hope was initially very slim that the Russians will back down, because there is, frankly speaking, very little room for compromise. Because what Russia wants Ukraine not to exist as an independent state. That is why they're doing those atrocities, crimes against Ukraine right now, felling the city of Kharkiv, which is my native city. It is being shelled by Russian bombs right now as we speak. So Russians want us dead, and we want to leave. There is, frankly speaking, very little room for compromise between those two positions. So I believe what will continue to happen is just military solution will be sought here by both sides. There is no other way. There is no way for us to step down. There is no solution other than military, frankly speaking, unless the Russians agree to surrender, which they do not agree yet.
Russian forces are currently getting closer to the capital, and we're seeing more attacks, as you mentioned, being conducted in Kharkiv, your hometown. But what's the end game here for Putin? Will he stop attacking once he takes control of Kiev and forms a puppet government there?
Well, let's not assume that he automatically will, because that assumption has been held, but that proved to be wrong, because Putin was planning to take over Kiev in the first 24 hours of attack. But you could see how resilient the Ukrainian people is and how much resistance he faced. And frankly speaking, I was driving around the city today, just following what is going on here, and the city is well prepared for the attack, and the Russians didn't manage to capture any ground here in Ukraine as of yet. So I think they are now desperate. They're making desperate moves in terms of attacking Ukraine, including Kiev. So we'll see what will be happening. They are amassing the troops north of the city. They did that before in the past 5 days of war. Ukrainians will be fighting back. We have nowhere else to go. We have nowhere else to step down to. We shall be continuing to fight, and the Russians will be continuing to lose.
We're constantly hearing that Russia was caught by surprise by the way Ukrainian forces responded to their attacks, and by the way Zelensky has been able to bring his nation together and fight back, no matter how big of an army they're up against. How is President Vladimir Zelensky being viewed in the country at the moment?
It is both the President Zelensky, but also the whole of Ukrainian people, because what Putin underestimated so much, he was thinking that he is fighting the Ukrainian army, which is, indeed smaller than the Russian one. But he is actually fighting the whole of 40 million of Ukrainians who are living here, because we are seeing civilians getting engaged into warfare. We are seeing civilians signing up for territorial defense units. We are seeing civilians informing the military about the movements of the Russian army. So he underestimated so badly what a democratic state actually is and to what extent people get involved in themselves. It's both the president, who is staying in Kiev, just like many MPs, including myself, but also overall the Ukrainian people are just showing such resistance, which is just unbelievable. And I'm just so appreciative of who is involved in this fight. So both the people and the leadership of Parliament, the leadership of the military, are just doing protecting our country.
Right, and we've seen Ukraine call on their Western allies to impose more tougher sanctions as this conflict continues to rage on. And we did hear from Boris Johnson earlier saying that they will continue to impose those sanctions as long as it need be. Is that what Ukraine wants from the West moving forward?
Yes, of course. That is indeed what we really want, because we want to make sure that Russia cannot sustain this war economically anymore, because it is an expensive invasion, for Ukraine, but also for Russia. And as the Russian economy is just spiraling down in a huge speed, that is having its effect. Of course, it doesn't help right away. Of course, it doesn't help people fighting on the ground for our land right now, but at some point it should stop. The Russians, they simply should not have enough money to sustain this war. That is why Ukrainians are asking for full trade embargo with Russia, because every single dollar, euro, or any other currency you are sending to Russia to buy their oil or gas is currently being used not to pay salaries to the Russian teachers or something else. They're being used to buy weapons with which they're killing Ukrainians, including, as of this morning, 16 children were killed by Russians here in Ukraine.
All right, member of the Ukrainian Parliament, Sovsun, thank you so much for sparing us your time and joining us here on TRT World.